Today we're going to recapping the movie The Shape of Water. We find ourselves transported to the Cold War era of 1962. Our setting is the Occam Aerospace Research Center, a highly classified government laboratory located in Baltimore, Maryland. Here, we meet our protagonist, Elisa Esposito, a mute woman who works as a janitor at the facility. Elisa's humble abode is a small apartment situated just above a movie theater. Elisa's life is routine and monotonous, with each day seeming identical to the one before. However, Elisa has carried a physical reminder of her mysterious past since childhood, scars on her neck that have always left her wondering about their origin. Her closest confidant is a middle-aged artist named Giles, while other neighbors treat her well due to her polite and friendly demeanor. As Elisa takes the bus to work each day, she is greeted by her favorite co-worker, Zelda Fuller. Their job is to keep the offices and other areas of the facility clean, including the areas where top executives work. During one of their shifts, a manager announces that a valuable object has been brought to the research center from South America, accompanied by Richard Strickland, the man in charge of the project. A container of mysterious liquid is also brought in, which draws everyone's attention. As Elisa approaches the container, something from within strikes it, causing her and her friend to flee the room and begin their cleaning duties elsewhere. While cleaning the men's restroom, Elisa and Zelda encounter Colonel Strickland, who is extremely unfriendly. Suddenly, they hear a scream coming from the container room. Strickland emerges with two missing fingers on his left hand. As the guards were summoned to aid, the cleaners were instructed to quickly remove the blood from the room. Elisa emptied a bucket of water onto the floor, revealing two of Colonel Strickland's missing fingers in the corner. She carefully placed them in a bag to send to the hospital and approached a container in the room. To her surprise, she discovered that it contained an amphibian man. Fascinated by the creature, Elisa returned the next day and tapped on the container, but the creature seemed to have moved to a nearby pool. She tried to get his attention and offered him an egg. In the following days, Elisa regularly sneaked in to feed him boiled eggs, taught him sign language, and played music on a gramophone. Her encounters with the amphibian man brought her immense happiness. However, Dr. Robert Hostetler, a Russian spy named Dmitry Mosenkov, saw Elisa establishing a close connection with the amphibian man and informed his Soviet curators. Despite the creature's intelligence and communication abilities, Hofstetler's superiors ignored his report and ordered him to kill the creature before the Americans could advance their scientific research. During one of Elisa's encounters with the amphibian man, she saw him chained to a platform where Colonel Strickland brutally tortured him. Meanwhile, Strickland's superior, General Hoyt, wanted to take the subject away for further research into space technology. Strickland managed to convince Hoyt that they should perform vivisection, a life-saving surgery on a living creature. As Elisa overhears their conversation, she becomes deeply upset. She knows that if she does nothing, the amphibian man will surely die. Elisa turns to Giles for help, urging him to free the creature. After much insistence, Giles finally agrees to assist her. Meanwhile, Hofstetler meets with his superiors, who provide him with syringes and vials of poisonous liquid to kill the amphibian man. Hofstetler is forced to obey their orders. Elisa and Giles devise a plan to escape with the amphibian man. Using his skills as an artist, Giles creates a fake ID and writes on the van to help with their escape. At the lab, Elisa becomes the target of Strickland's harassment. He intentionally spills his water and forces a woman to clean his office. Elisa leaves, while Hofstetler prepares the poison. Elisa puts her plan into action by turning the surveillance camera sideways in Strickland's office. Hofstetler learns of her plan and decides to help her. He gives Elisa the keys to remove the chain from the amphibian man. Meanwhile, when Zelda leaves work, she senses that Elisa is up to something and decides to find her. Elisa sneaks the amphibian man into a laundry cart and drives it down the hallway. Giles attempts to drive into the building, but it proves to be unsuccessful. Meanwhile, Zelda discovers Elisa's plan, and Hofstetler cuts the power with an explosive device. He then sticks a syringe of poison in the neck of the guard who stops Giles at the entrance. They successfully load the amphibian man into the van and drive away. As Strickland and the guards rush to the exit, they fail to catch them in time. This makes Strickland desperate and furious. As Elisa Giles and the amphibian man arrived at her apartment, they wasted no time and immersed him in a tub filled with water and chemicals provided by Hofstetler. The goal was to keep the amazing creature healthy until they could release him back into the ocean via a nearby canal that fills with water during rainfall. Meanwhile, at the lab, Strickland and his team had already figured out how the thieves managed to escape with their stolen object. The following evening, when Elisa and Zelda arrived at work, they were interrogated by Strickland but were soon cleared of suspicion. He couldn't imagine that two women, one of whom was mute, could have pulled off such a high-security robbery at a government lab. While watching over the amphibian man, Giles fell asleep and woke up to find him out of the tub and eating one of her cats. He then ran out of the apartment, scratching the arm of the Giles, who was now awake. Giles says Elisa to find him. After searching anxiously for him, Elisa eventually found him in the movie theater downstairs and brought him back to the apartment, placing his hands on her head and the wound he caused. One night, unable to sleep, Elisa went to check on the amphibian man in her bathroom and awkwardly removed her clothes to join him in the tub. It was the first time she had ever felt a connection with someone, and she was grateful to have found a new sense of existence and the love she had desperately desired. Meanwhile, Hofstetler was at home when he received a visit from his Russian bosses. Sensing danger, he hid a knife up his sleeve. However, nothing happened, and they eventually left. Giles woke up one morning to find that hair had started to grow on his head where he used to be bald. He also noticed that the cut on his arm had healed completely. During this time, Elisa had grown very close to the amphibian man. She even flooded the bathroom so they could swim together, causing a water leak throughout the house. The feeder owner complained about this, forcing Giles to open the bathroom door. At the lab, General Hoyt told Strickland that he must return their property to the base in 36 hours, or his career and life would be over. One morning, Elisa returned home and realized that the amphibian man was getting weaker by the day. She decided that it was time to let him go, but she was not ready for their separation. In her imagination, Elisa even envisioned a world in which they could be together, filled with music and dancing. Meanwhile, one of Hofstetler's superiors was shot, and Strickland, waiting for the right moment, killed both superiors with his gun. Strickland's desperation reaches a fever pitch. He learns that the creature he's been searching for was actually freed by the cleaners who deceived him. Determined to find it, he interrogates Zelda and her husband Brewster at their home, but his erratic behavior only causes Brewster to confess that the creature is with Elisa. Zelda scolds her husband before warning Elisa of Strickland's intentions. Meanwhile, Strickland rushes off to the cleaner's apartment, arriving too late to stop the creature's escape. However, he does find a calendar indicating where the amphibian man was planned to be freed. Strickland races to the canal, where he encounters Giles and knocks him down before shooting the amphibian man and Elisa. In a poignant moment, the lovers accept their fate, holding hands as they prepare to die. But as Strickland is about to make his escape, Giles manages to get up and knock him down. Suddenly, the amphibian man stands up, healing his bullet wounds in a miraculous display of power. Strickland is awestruck, calling the creature a god. However, his admiration is short-lived as the amphibian man swiftly slits his throat with his claws. As the police arrive, the amphibian man grabs Elisa and jumps into the water. Giles and Zelda watch silently as the couple disappear into the depths, saying their goodbyes. In the water, the amphibian man kisses Elisa before using his powers to heal her and help her breathe through the gills on her neck, which were never scars to begin with. Together, they remain underwater, in love and happy to finally be together.